Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today I am back at the workshop doing a bit more work on the 34. I've got some rear brake rotors and some pads to go on. When I first did my front pads on the 34 I didn't actually do the rear, so they're still all standard. So I'm going to be putting on a set of DBA T3 rotors. Thanks to Kudos Motorsports for hooking me up with those and with the pads. Pads I've gone the Intima pads again like I did with my fronts, just the SR series, so they're kind of like an entry level track pad. Really good for street. The fronts have been really nice. It's going to be cool having the rear ones as well. It's going to help me stop a bit better. I started to notice a few problems last time I was at the track, so definitely going to make a difference. And I've been looking to getting the front calipers upgraded to go a bigger rotor, bigger caliper, and all that kind of jazz. So I want to make sure my rears are nice and balanced. So that's what I'll be doing today. I'll give you a bit of a rundown on the whole kind of process. If you guys have been enjoying the videos recently, let me know. The views have been getting a lot better compared to what they have been. So I've been getting around 100 views a video, which is up a long way from the usual kind of 30 or 40 I was getting, which is cool. Very awesome to see. So thank you everyone who has been watching every time a new video comes out. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel as well. I'm aiming to get to 500 by the end of the year. That was my big kind of goal. I wanted to hit 500 subscribers by the end of the year, which we're looking really good at the moment. I think we're on about 435 at the time of this video. If I can get any more past that, it's just kind of a bit of an added bonus. So thank you everyone for the support. I've got a few big kind of announcements coming soon as well. I've got a video to do on the R33, which is just parked out the front there. So I'll be getting to that in another video, but it is coming. For everyone who's been waiting on updates on the 33, I'll be doing a full video on that soon. It's pretty much just me going to be sitting in front of the microphone, just kind of running through what I'm doing with it, what's the plans, because it's been a long time since I've done a video. So that's coming soon. Don't worry about that. There will be an update very soon on that. But yeah, let's get into it. Alrighty, I've got the car over the hoist. It's very dark, but you can kind of see it. I'm going to chuck the car up, get the rear wheels off. I'm also going to be adjusting up my handbrake as well while I'm here. My brake pedal's feeling a bit average, so I want to sort that out as well, which will be awesome at the track. I'm going to the downshift track battle on August 14th. The car's braking up a bit at the moment, and I don't know why, so I hope it's nothing major. Put a new set of coil packs in it. I'm going to pull out my spark plugs and do a compression test today, inspect everything, see how it all looks. I hope it's nothing major, because I've just paid for the track battle and I really don't want to have to miss out on it. I've just paid for the brakes as well. They weren't cheap. So I think I paid about 550 all up. That's it for pads and rear rotors. So a pair of rotors about 400, the pads were 100 and 150 maybe. Can't remember exactly. I've had them sitting around for a while, so I thought I'd finally bite the bullet, get the rotors, put it all together, and yeah, let's get stuck into it, eh? So DBA T3 4000 series, the slotted rotors, pair of those for the rear. So I've got those going on. Fresh set of stickers as well. I love my stickers. Intima SR brake pads, as mentioned earlier. I don't know if anything's focusing, I can't really see it. It's crazy how small they are. Tiny little pads, and it's going to make such a big difference for the overall performance of the car. So super excited to chuck these on and see how they feel. Alrighty, I've got the car up in the air. I'm going to pull off my genuine rotors. Pull both sides off, and then I'm going to slip the caliper off in the racing red, obviously so it can brake faster. Red's the fastest colour something, yeah. So, caliper, rotor, wheel. I'm going to pull it all off, inspect the brake shoes. I haven't actually looked at the brake shoes once on this car, which is really bad considering I rebuilt it from scratch, so that's kind of disappointing, but beyond the point. got the wheels off on both sides, you would have just seen. The pads on this are actually, like, they're still pretty good. There's heaps of life on those, just kind of a bit of an upgrade. So I'll be able to sell the pads and rotors off this to make a little bit of money back on the stupid amount I've just spent. So that's good news for me. Like I was saying, I'm going to pull these calipers out. Usually you can just do like the quick change pads, so that's what these calipers are. So there's 2 pins and some locking tabs and stuff. These pins slide out and your pads slide in, and it's kind of like a track thing, I suppose, maybe. So if you're at the track, you don't have to pull your caliper off, you just slide the pins out, new pads in, and off you go. The pads is what's going to wear out at the track more than your rotors. So yeah, I think, don't quote me on that. So that is our caliper removed. Good practice as well when you're doing brakes is not to let the caliper hang by the brake hose. Luckily on the rears of the Skylines you've got the 2 arms, so they sit nicely up there, the caliper that is. So I'm just going to sit that out of the way. Usually you can zip tie it up to somewhere, up to like your spring or something like that. But no, it's got a nice little platform, so that can sit there. I'm going to pull this rotor off, which is luckily for me not too tight. Usually what you can do, everyone's going to have a different opinion on this. That's one of the things with brakes. Not everyone does it the same. They've got their own way of doing things. When they are tight, you've got 2 little screw holes down in there. So you screw a bolt into those equal sides and you do one side a bit, other side a bit, and so on. And eventually that will release the pressure. So you've got your handbrake holding against this, your brake shoes, and you've also got surface rust that's kind of rusted it into place. Depending when they were last taking off and how tight / loose your handbrake is will determine how much of a pain this is. But yeah, best bet, 2 bolts, screw them in, and then it'll just wind right off. Lucky for me, mine's nice and loose, so I can just pull it off by hand. So as well as removing the drum, I've also got hub rings, and what these do is for aftermarket rims, it pretty much fills the gap that you have between the hub and the internal hub of the actual wheel, so they sit flush. Otherwise they'll shake around and won't seat nicely, and you get all types of wobbling and random stuff that you shouldn't be getting. So I've removed the drum / rotor / disc, whatever you want to call it, from this side. Like I said earlier, I'm just going to be showing this one side, just to save me a bit of time and trouble. There's no point me doing the exact same thing twice. I'll just show you how to pull it off, how to put a new one on, how to put it all back together, blah blah blah. So that is what we are looking at with no rotor on there. Just got our rotor down on the ground. These are the rotors I've opted for. The T3 slotted rotors from DBA. Exactly the same as what I've got on the front. Kind of keeping all the brands the same. Pads are the same as I mentioned earlier. Intima SRs. If you are looking for a cheap set of pads to get you started into like track work or just a bit more heavy street work, I say street work, if you've got a car that's got more than factory power and you want to be able to stop on the street, look into Intima. They're super cheap, 130 for the front, 130 for the rear. They're one of the cheaper ones out there, and from my experience they've been really good. Intima's been really good with me as well. They've been happy to support me and my YouTube channel and all that kind of stuff. So definitely check them out, they're well worth it. So using some brake cleaner, I've just wiped one of the faces off the rotor, and that's what came off it. So that's your brand new rotor. That's the kind of stuff that's coming off it. So definitely make sure you clean them. It's definitely worth doing. That's very dirty. To clean the hub face, I'm going to start off with a wire brush, and then I'm going to get some sandpaper just to finish it off. You can see all the rust, kind of dust stuff that's coming off just from using a wire brush. So you'd be surprised by how much stuff's on there, and it doesn't take a long time at all to clean it up. So spend a good amount of time making sure it's as clean as you can possibly get it. There's no point rushing, especially when you've just spent, you know, $400 on a set of rotors. So yeah, take your time. I've gone over both of the rotors / discs with brake cleaner, cleaned both of those up, so they're nice and clean now. Also got both the hubs done. They don't look too great on the camera, but in person it's nice and smooth. There's no rust left on it. So it's a nice smooth face to mount the rotor to. So I'm going to mount those both up and then adjust my handbrake. Damn, these rotors look so good. I mean, they're only going to look like this probably a day and then they'll look crap again, but they look nice when you're fitting them, so that's cool. I'm going to adjust up the handbrake. There's a little access hole through here which gets to that gear that I was showing earlier, so you can adjust that up. Do it however you want to do it. look it up online, do whatever. I do it my own way, you do it your own way, whatever. Then I'm going to pull these brake pads out. So this clip on the back here, that will just pop out. You can kind of see that there's two bits that go into these pins. Once that's popped out, your pins will both slide out, and then you've got this kind of carrier in the middle as well. That'll pop out with it. Both pins slide out, both pads slide up, new pads in, pins back through, lock it all back together, and that's good as gold. And then we can chuck it back onto the rotor. So you would have just seen in real time how easy it is to actually pull the pads out of those calipers. That took me maybe 25-30 seconds to pull them out. One pin at the back, slide the two pins out, the pads pop out, the little retainer pops out. Next thing I'll be doing is pushing the pistons back. So obviously as you're putting your foot on the brake and the pads wear down more and more, the pistons will push further and further in. And what we're doing now is just pushing those back to accommodate our new pads, which are at their normal thickness. This is a piston pushback tool, and it's a ratcheting type, so this will just slide between the two and ratchet open, like you can see there, and it'll just spread it and push both back equally. Now I'll be using a 10mm spanner just to crack open the bleed nipple. As you're pushing back those pistons, the brake fluid behind them needs somewhere to go. Usually you'd have like a hose on the end of it into a little container or a drain or something, but I can't be bothered, so I'm just going to let it go straight onto the floor and I'll clean it up later. Something to note as well, anytime you get brake fluid on any parts in the car, always put water on them. Brake fluid loves to eat paint, so painted calipers, anything it may be, if it's on the paint of your car, get water onto it as soon as you possibly can, just so you don't have to worry about your paint getting peeled up. So what I'm doing is ratcheting the pistons back. So that's tight now against both the pistons. As I ratchet back, you'll see the brake fluid come out. And I'm just going to keep ratcheting this back until both those pistons are back into the caliper. Alrighty, so now that's tight, I can back off the ratchet, come back the other way, slide my ratchet back out, and now you can see maybe from there that both the pistons have been pushed back and are ready for the new pads. Next thing I'm going to do is close back off that bleed nipple, but only finger tight for now. And I'm going to wash my hands, and then what I'm going to do is run some water over that caliper. And once it's mounted back on the car, I'm actually going to crack that nipple again, and then any air bubbles that are in the system will leak back out. Alrighty, with this caliper all bolted up, still yet to put my brake pads in, but I'm going to quickly jump over to the other side and get the other caliper done. The Intima SR pads have just been slid into place, so they both just slide in, two pins go back in, tab goes in, and then our little pin at the back, there's two holes in the end of those pins, and they just line up in there and squeeze into place. I need two hands to do it, but it gives you a bit of a rough idea. They're super easy to change, super quick. If you want to do it at the track, it's so easy to do. Pull the wheel off, swap the pads, don't have to worry about pulling out any bolts. Both sides are all back together and fully assembled. Last thing you need to do, jump in your car, test your handbrake if you have adjusted it, make sure that feels okay. Pump your pedal to the floor a few times and it should harden up once those pistons push out onto your new pads. Top up your brake fluid and then go around the block and wear in your pads. So I'm going to go do all that now, and I'll give you a quick rundown on the basics to kind of do when you want to wear in your pads. So yeah, we'll get to that soon. Alrighty, so back in the car park now. For those of you that are interested, the process to bed in your brakes varies based on a lot of things, but a basic kind of thing you can go off is what I like to do is get up to about 80 k's an hour about 5 times and ease onto the brakes. Don't jump hard onto the brakes, don't come right to a stop, just ease on 80 back down to 60 and do that about 5 times, and then go to 60 k's an hour, ease back down to 40, and then keep doing that on your way down. Everyone has their own way of doing it. That's how I do it. It's always worked for me. So if that's the way you want to do it that way. Just don't make the mistake of going straight out, going as fast as you can and jumping hard on the brakes. It's really important that you bed them in properly. Doesn't take long. Make sure you do it. For everyone else, that's the end of the video. Thank you for watching. Hopefully this has been a lot better than my previous brake video, which was about 8 minutes of, well, 5 minutes of talking, 3 minutes of putting parts on cars, and then half of it wasn't really there. I didn't really explain what I was doing. So hopefully this time I've given you a bit of, well, enough information to be able to do it yourselves. Let me know in the comments what you thought, if the video was better than previous one, if the video's been good at all. Your feedback matters a lot, even if it's, you know, negative feedback, positive feedback. It's all feedback to me, and it all, I guess, helps me to make better videos in the future. I am just starting out, so all the help I can get is awesome. Once again, if you haven't already subscribe to the channel. Make sure you like the video, it all helps out, and I'll see you guys in the next one.